again, and welcome to another episode of Merkon's Musings, a Star Wars action figure review. And today we're looking at none other than the Kenner Star Wars Rebel Command Center Adventure Set, which was a Sears exclusive, and it came out in 1981. And the term adventure set is, I don't think it really applies to this adventure set. It's more like a diorama, but I'll get into that into my review. Let's talk about the history of this place in the Star Wars universe. So, the Echo Base facility established by the Rebel Alliance on the ice planet Hoth after the Battle of Yavin was so named due to the strange acoustics in its hallway. Within months of its establishment, it was discovered by the Galactic Empire, which quickly invaded the planet and forced the rebels to evacuate. So that's the story of this playset. And honestly, Command Center is a bad name for this playset. I would say hangar would probably have been more, apt. There's a great scene in The Empire Strikes Back where Princess Leia addresses all the pilots in the hangar about the upcoming battle. And I think that would have been cool if they would have labeled this the Hoth Echo Base hangar playset. But it certainly is not a Rebel Command Center playset. But nevertheless, it's here. It's definitely the worst playset. I think it's the worst playset ever made by Kenner. It really has only one play feature, which I'll get into when I do the review. The thing I find that is the most interesting about this playset is that it came with these three action figures: the AT-AT Commander, Luke Skywalker in Hoth gear, and R2-D2 with Sensoscope. And this was the only place you could get them, because they were not available on cards yet. They came out carded later on that year. So this was a Sears exclusive. It came out around Christmas time. So what I disliked the most about this playset, that it really isn't a playset. And Kenner gave us some really great playsets prior to this one. And they all use the same base. So the first playset that came out that has a similar setup to this was the Land of the Jawas. And that playset was really cool. It actually had a cardboard sandcrawler with a working elevator. And it came with a escape pod from the beginning of Star Wars when R2-D2 and 3PO escaped from the Tantive 4. So that had some extra play value, right? And then they had, for The Empire Strikes Back, they came out with Hoth Ice Planet Adventure Set, which was one of my favorites. It had the same setup, it had the same base, but the cardboard back had an AT-AT walker. Although not to scale, obviously, but at least it had a play feature. The AT-AT walker had an elevator that could go up and down, so you can keep action figures in the AT-AT and bring them out. And it also came with a radar gun for the rebels. And then they come out to this one, and this is just, terrible compared to the other two. And those are the reasons why. It's just not really a playset. Other than these great figures that came out prior to being carded, it's kind of a really, really terrible playset. So I'll show you the play feature of this playset using the action figures that came in the box. So the three action figures that came with the set were all in Kenner baggies, and they were placed in a white box that said Rebel Command Center. And they're pretty cool. They're the same action figures you see here, but they were in baggies. So I'll show you the one play feature that this set has. Hopefully it'll work. So if you place someone on the you place someone there, and then you shoot him with your gun, and that's what happens. That's it. That's the whole playset in a nutshell. What's also kind of neat in this little cavern, and underneath it shows a backpack and a blaster rifle. I guess it's just so it gives it something to have there. Yeah, this playset is weak, very weak. So that's all I have to say about the Kenner Star Wars Rebel Command Center Adventure Set. It really doesn't give you much adventure, but I like it still because it's a vintage Kenner Star Wars playset. So if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a great day.